I had no idea the British press was so bigoted.
This one's wife, the Ghoul of Uvalde, how to hijack a birthday. Everybody has a birthday. Some people aren't necessarily that bothered about it. Another year has passed, they don't want to be reminded that they're getting older. Children, of course, are particularly excited by birthdays, an occasion to receive presents, have a party, be the centre of attention for a day. Everybody likes some attention at some point. But for the narcissist, the birthday is a major event. Where it's the narcissist's birthday, everything has to stop. The narcissist must be regaled. You better make sure that you mark the narcissist's birthday by appropriate cards and presents and an event. Woe betide you if you forget or any of those things isn't deemed to be of the appropriate standard. You are expected to ensure that the narcissist's birthday is heralded, trumpeted, and recognized. I recall a client of mine who told me in consultation about the instance of his wife, who we had established was a narcissist. It was coming up to her 30th birthday. When it had been his 30th birthday, he was 2 or 3 years older than her. They'd just gone out for a meal with friends and then gone out to a bar and a nightclub. 12, 14 people. She had made noises about there being some kind of joint surprise party with somebody else in the friendship group, and the husband explained that he'd made it clear that that couldn't happen for valid reasons. He'd spelled it out to her that that wasn't going to occur. And instead, he went to some effort, bucking a chauffeur-driven car, taking her to a particularly posh location, rather romantic as well, for a swanky meal. They got children he'd arranged quietly, the childminder to be organised, and thus the car turned up to pick them up. He told her that she needed to get ready, but he hadn't told her where they were going. He said her face was full of excitement, which of course was the response to the fuel when the chauffeur turned up. He said that she was excited in the car as they were driving because she didn't know where they were going. But of course it was all about her. A chauffeur-driven posh vehicle had turned up to collect her. They were both dressed up, and he could see the anticipatory glee on her face. Of course, this was all being driven by the fuel. They then arrived at the venue, which was well known in their area, apparently for being particularly prestigious. He noticed that she almost seemed to puff up, and I explained that was as a consequence of the anticipatory thought fuel that was going through her mind as to what she thought would happen next. They then walked into, by all accounts, a beautiful ancient venue with candlelight and a fantastic menu. They sat down, and he said he couldn't believe it as she then looked crestfallen. They ordered drinks. She then started to pick fault with the menu, saying, "I don't like any of these things," even though that wasn't true. She demanded that they leave. He explained that he actually saw across the restaurant some of his clients, and he was thinking, please don't come over and speak. She's only going to embarrass me in front of them. They ended up having to cut the night short. He had to call for a taxi and advise the pre-booked chauffeur not to turn up later on. They had to return, and his mother-in-law apparently was watching the children and said, "You're back early." The next day when he attended work, he explained to me that when he saw his colleagues, who he told excitedly about what he'd arranged for his wife's birthday, that they were all crestfallen and couldn't believe that she'd reacted in the way that she did. He couldn't understand it either. But once he came across my work and he read about the importance of birthdays to the narcissist, he realized, of course, that she still anticipated that she was going to walk into a crowded room full of friends and family going, "Surprise!" And when that didn't happen, she then felt wounded. He was painted black, and she picked fault with his choice, no matter how wonderful and romantic it was, and how many other people would have been delighted to have had celebrated their birthday with their husband in such circumstances. He was able to understand how that had impacted upon her and why she treated him the way that she had, because she anticipated that her birthday would be different, notwithstanding the fact that he'd made it clear there would be no surprise party. Deluded, she still believed that that would happen. And the fact that she didn't get what she wanted meant that he was to be blamed, and it resulted in her not speaking to him for 2 days. He had no idea why she reacted that way until he came to my work. It's also the case, of course, that the narcissist hates anybody else's birthday. If you're fortunate enough to have a birthday during the golden period, you'll find yourself getting a fantastic present. You'll be made to be the centre of attention. The narcissist, of course, will bask in the reflected glory. But because it's the golden period, the narcissist is able to cope with you being the centre of attention because the narcissist leverages off it. But when it comes to somebody else's birthday, the narcissist can't stand it, particularly where that individual is not in the golden period. And therefore, the narcissist will either do something that spoils that person's birthday, failing to turn up, buying an inappropriate gift, causing a scene at the birthday celebration, or will do something to try and make the birthday all about them, even though they might not do something which is intrinsically unpleasant. For example, leading the singing, being the one that delivers the cake, even though they're not perhaps necessarily the right person to do so. Being the individual that's bossing everybody around and telling them what to do at the birthday. Perhaps making a speech when it's not appropriate for them to do so. Cutting off the person whose birthday it is so they can get to speak. And thus the narcissist will regularly hijack the birthday of somebody else for the narcissist's own purposes of the pursuit of the prime aims. And this one's wife did exactly that in relation to her appearance in Uvalde. She didn't give a rat's ass with regard to the relevant lady's birthday because it was just an opportunity for her to be centre stage. You've seen from the photographs that there she was with that rictus grin, hoovering up all of the fuel, revelling in the power that she felt as all eyes were on her. That she glanced towards the cameras. Why were cameras even there? It ought to have been a private event, but we all know why those events. Why those cameras were there at the event, because it had to be for it to be recorded to garner more control and fuel for her and to manage the facade. She had to be the one that delivered the cake so that everybody could see that she was the centre of attention. She commenced the singing of Happy Birthday. You'll notice in the photographs that rather than it be a photograph of the person whose birthday it was looking towards the camera, the pictures are all of this one's wife with the birthday woman's back to the camera. This one's wife hijacked the birthday. Harry was relegated to the background. Why couldn't Harry deliver the cake? No, this one's wife had to do so because that meant that it presented her with numerous photo opportunities. She delivered the cake. She led the singing. She was in all of the pictures. The camera was facing her rather than the person whose birthday it was. She well and truly hijacked that person's birthday, once again demonstrating what a ghoul she is, leveraging off a tragedy in order to make herself look good, and then compounding it by hijacking somebody else's birthday. The typical behaviour of a narcissist when it comes to birthdays, and no surprise at all when it comes to this one's wife. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.